Greetings and welcome. I'm Ray Adams with Match Play TV, and today I'm at the historic, iconic, and beautiful Paradise Valley Country Club. I can't wait to get with my guest, Hale Irwin, Hall of Famer, 20 times on the PGA Tour, a winner, a 3-time U.S. Open winner, 45 times on the Champions Tour. Hale, thank you so much for joining me today.
Ray, happy to be here at Paradise Valley, and as you say, this view we have to the south is particularly awesome, and I never miss a day where I can't look at that and say, isn't that awesome?
Hale, 5 Ryder Cups. If I continued on, we would take the entire 30 minutes going over the illustrious and historic career. Someone said that you're in the top 19 golfers of all time in the history of the game of golf. You've won on all 6 continents, and if I remember correctly, there's only 5 other golfers that have done that, at least at last count. Is that about right?
I think you're approximately right. Yeah. Your golf's been awfully good to me, Ray. It's taken me to not every part of the world, but a good bit of it, at least where golf is played. And fortunately, I've been able to succeed in some of those places where I've gone. And I've said this many times, and I'm not trying to be trite about it, but it's the people and the cultures that have been the most rewarding to me. It's whether you win or you lose, you get to see other people and how they live. You may not speak the language, but you share humanity with those people, and that's been the true treasure.
When did you know that golf was going to be your sport and that you were good enough to really pursue it?
Well, I had won a few tournaments around the state of Colorado. I didn't get to play a lot of summer golf outside the state, and when you don't play against some of your peer group often, you don't know how you're going to stack up. But I did my senior year. I went back to the NCAA in Pennsylvania, and I won. So all the things that I was able to accomplish, that was the catalyst that said, hey, I can compete at least against my peer group.
Yeah.
Now, can I compete against Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer and Gary Player? Well, it remains to be seen, but at least this is a stepping stone. That first step forward was probably the NCAA tournament.
Well, you turned pro in 1968, and you won your first golf tournament, which was the Heritage, and whatever the corporate name was, in 1971. Interestingly enough, he also won his last PGA Tour event in 1994 at a golf tournament called the Heritage.
Right.
So you bookended your career. After you won your first PGA Tour event, what was life like for Hale Irwin?
Well, I'll never forget that the last putt I had on the 18th hole. We played over Thanksgiving, and we played in November that year, and I had a putt about a foot on the last hole. And when I hit it, it felt like my putter had become gum. It's like the ball stuck to my putter. I couldn't get that ball off of my putter fast enough. But I'll never forget that feeling. But now that you've won as a professional, you set out to say, I want to be successful.
Yeah.
And to do that the feeling of pride really kicked in. I felt some relief, but I felt buoyed by, hey, I did it. Let's go do it again. But those other guys have the same feelings too. And there's an awful lot of talent out on the PGA Tour. But at the time, for me, coming from Colorado and kind of laboring through 2.5 years, almost 3 years, 3.5 years of being a Monday qualifier, it was a superb feeling. And I'll never forget that, going to the airport the next morning, and Delta Airlines was a sponsor. Going to the airport the next day and checking in and at the Delta counter, and they had upgraded me to first class and kind of gave me the treatment. I thought, boy, this is the greatest thing going. I'd like to do this more often.
You, throughout your career, have been known as a fierce competitor. Davis Love said that he was scared to death to play with you. You were so intimidating the first time that he played with you. Do you remember that? You cheered him on, though.
No, I think and I don't consider it a bum rap when I hear that. I really don't.
No, I think it's a compliment. It's a compliment.
And I take it as a compliment. I think some people are afraid to be competitive.
For fear of what?
for fear of maybe the unknown.
People won't like them, maybe.
It could be, but I think let's just understand that when you get to the level of these guys, whether it be Davis Love or Mike Donald or Jack Nicklaus, the difference between the top and the bottom is so insignificant because you see them all. Geez, they all hit the ball. That's not it. It's what's in the heart, what's in the mind, how do those two work together? What is the courage factor?
Yeah.
How do you go out and take that and make it work positively for you? And that's what I was always striving to do.
Yeah.
And I would get my own way sometimes, frankly. I just would.
All right, Hale Irwin, when we come back, folks, stay with us. We're going to talk to Hale, 20 PGA Tour wins, but we're going to focus in on the 3 greatest wins, those 3 U.S. Opens. Stay with me.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
We all love comfortable and good-looking golf shoes, but what if changing your brand could actually help your golf game?
I put the squares on. I gained 5 miles an hour club head speed with my driver. My handicap's down to a 14 from 18 and a half.
What I noticed with the squares, they were comfortable. I immediately felt more stability.
These shoes are designed with the latest performance technology and engineered to give you increased balance and stability, and in testing, they're proven to help you add distance. You'll hit it squarer, sweeter, straighter, and longer. I love the look of them, and with the extra width, they're the most comfortable golf shoes I've ever worn. To feel good and play my best, I wear squares. Now you can wear them too. Just go to getsquares.com to find out more. That's getsquares.com.
Do you like Tour Edge? I love Tour Edge. This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA? Oh, I love that. I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long, really long?
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Our windows have a story to tell, shouldn't yours?
Hi, I'm Bill.
And I'm Kathleen.
And we're the owners of American Vision Windows.
New windows not only beautify your home,
To make your home quieter, safer, and more energy efficient.
see the difference new windows can make in your home.
This month only, 0 down, 0 interest, 0 payments for 12 months, plus free installation on 8 or more windows.
We're still revolutionizing the home improvement industry, one customer at a time.
Call now or visit AmericanVisionWindows.com.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
Welcome back. Ray Adams here with Hale Irwin, our guest today on Match Play. You know, we spoke about competitiveness when we went out to break, Hale, and that laser-like focus and even somewhat of an intimidation factor. Well, it wasn't just you. We know that Ray Floyd, we know Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods. There are so many players that have that laser focus, and it becomes a bit intimidating. But your incredible competitiveness is a compliment to your game. And you talk about that 1974, your first U.S. Open. Did you have any idea that Sandy Tatum and the USGA at Winged Foot in 1974 was going to set that course up in order to, well, let's just say, make sure that Johnny Miller or you or nobody would shoot a 63 again as he had done the year earlier? Did you have any idea?
No, I think when we came up from Philadelphia, and those of us that played and came to Winged Foot on that Monday and saw the golf course, I think we were all in a bit of shock.
What was it like?
It was a bloodletting. The attitude in the locker room. That's where you really get the pulse of what's happening.
Well, Lee Trevino said there were a lot of beers drank in the locker room.
It was. There were some people there that just knew they couldn't make it, and so I'm thinking, gosh, let's just hang on. And 2/3 of the field's checked out already.
Yeah,
and we haven't even teed off.
Yeah.
So if you could just hang in there.
So what were the course conditions? Tall rough, super fast greens. Were the pin placements brutal as well?
Oh, of course they were. we had probably the longest rough on a U.S. Open that I've ever played. And I've played in a couple of U.S. Opens. It was the tallest rough I've ever played in. And of course they have reasonably narrow fairways, and Winged Foot's greens have narrow entrances and deep bunkers. And as you say, the greens were very fast. Jack Nicklaus puts it right off the first green the first day. So that word got out on the golf course very quickly, by the way.
Yeah, that was a 4-putt, but not technically.
Not technically.
He putted it off, and then he putted it back up, and it ended up being 4 putts.
Right. Just when you think about Winged Foot, you have to think about the most brutal conditions you can talk about, without weather being an issue. We never had any significant weather, so it was tough.
Well, they did get their wish. I say their wish. They certainly did get their, I don't know what it would be, revenge or whatever the USG was trying to do. They said they wanted to identify the greatest golfer in the world. They did not want to humiliate the greatest players in the world.
Right.
But there was a lot of humiliation in that identification process, we all know. Johnny Miller ended up shooting 22 over par, so they got him. Nicklaus tied for 10th in the tournament, and he was at 10 over par. And of course, you won that golf tournament at 7 over par. Unbelievable. When you walked away from Winged Foot, how did you feel? Were you physically and mentally drained, or how did you feel with that win, excited as you were?
Well, it was relief, but certainly excitement. There's no denying that. You can't help but having the adrenaline rush and the excitement level up, and the pride. You can't help that. But it was a relief knowing I wouldn't have to go out the next day and play Winged Foot again. As great a golf course as it was brutal.
We've got to talk about 1990 at Medina, but in the middle, and I set it up that way purposely, Hale, do a lot of people sort of leave 1979 and Inverness sort of as a by-the-way kind of a U.S. Open? But for you, it was an extremely important U.S. Open because you said that it really validated your first U.S. Open win. Now you're a multiple major win. Tell me about Inverness.
Well, Inverness, you're right, it does kind of get lost in the shuffle a bit. There wasn't any real drama. We didn't have the hardest golf course, and we didn't have, at 45 years old. But what it did provide was a really good venue. And I had started poorly. I had started with a relatively high score, and just making the cut was going to be problematic. But I went out and I played a great second round, a great third round. Suddenly I've gone from just kind of making the cut to I thought it was a 5-shot lead. People say it's a 4-shot, but I had the lead going to the last day. So I was playing well. I didn't play well the first day, but I used these attributes we've kind of talked about and applied them to what I could do. And I can remember going out, how do you play with that kind of a lead? What do you do? I've never been there before. How do you do? And I thought, only thing I can do is go out and try and birdie the first hole again. Try and increase the lead. That's all you can do. And I did, knock on wood, increase it to a 6-shot lead at one point. But the mistake I made, coming down the stretch after 70 holes, I had a 5-shot lead. And I said, patted myself on the back and said, you've won another Open.
So it was a little premature.
It was very premature. I went double bogey, bogey. I lost my concentration. I lost my focus. I was celebrating too early, and I just limped into the house with a win, but it wasn't the way I wanted to finish.
10 years after your first U.S. Open win at Winged Foot, you say this may have been your greatest disappointment of your entire career. You went back to the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, and you had put an incredible amount of pressure on yourself to win this golf tournament for somebody special.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that loss and about that week?
Well, as we know, the U.S. Open traditionally ends on Father's Day. And my father was ill. He had cancer, and he was not doing well. And I thought, we're 10 years from 74, we're back in 84, and boy, and I've got the lead going to the last day, and I'm thinking, boy, if I could just win for my father, and just in it, the romance and all that of 10 years, I just built this mountain up too big. And I went out in the 4th round, and I was just flat. I was emotionally spent. I think I'd spent so much time thinking about my father, thinking about what could be, rather than what is right in front of me. I got scattered. I lost that focus, and it just I fell apart that day.
You were overcome with emotion, I think.
Oh yeah, it was a difficult day, but at the same time, you're only as good as you're going to let yourself be. And I wasn't letting myself do what I could do. I was too hung up with the what ifs. And you've got to go out with a more positive attitude than what I had that day.
What an unbelievable lesson from one of the greatest players in the history of the game. What a great lesson. When we come back, we're going to get to that 1990 U.S. Open. And Hale's going to tell us about the number 45 in his career.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Introducing Flag Assist, the simple, easy-to-use pin attachment that's changing the way people play the game. Flag Assist attaches to the flag pin to allow for faster, easier ball retrieval while eliminating turf damage around the cup. Fully allowable under the rules of golf, Flag Assist is customizable, creating new avenues for course promotion, advertising revenue, and enhanced guest experiences. Visit flagassistgolf.com to see what it can do for your course.
Hey, check this out. I've got a proven new way for you to hit your drives longer, way longer. It's all about more speed, more than a driver, more than a ball. It's a system. It's easy, it's legal, and it's been designed just for you.
With the speed system, I just got ridiculously more distance, 20 plus yards. It works.
To find out how you can easily add 20 yards to your drives, go to add20yards.com right now. That's add20yards.com.
Bobby Jones, 30 years of classic style for the modern man, now brings you the Jones Performance Cotton Polo. Lightweight and luxurious cotton hand feel with moisture-wicking comfort. The Jones Performance Cotton Polo is engineered with an exclusive blend of carefully selected cotton and the optimal balance of modal and spandex. It's the perfect combination of classic styling and modern fabric technology. Designed for comfort, engineered for performance, and built to last. Look good and stay comfortable, whether you're out on the town or out on the course. The Jones Performance Cotton features a 3-button placket with the iconic Bobby Jones player embroidery. For superior comfort, style, and versatility. Get it all in the Jones Performance Cotton Polo.
Cold weather golf just got a lot warmer. Introducing the G-Tech Sport 2.0 heated pouch. Don't let the low temperature keep you from going low on the course. If the pros trust G-Tech to play their best, you should too. Available now at gtechapparel.com.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
Welcome back to Match Play. And Hale Irwin, my guest, continues on. We're talking about U.S. Open wins. And the number 45. Hale, the number 45 seems to be following you around. You were born in 1945. You made a 45-foot putt to tie Mike Donald on the 72nd hole there at Medina in 1990, which puts you into the Monday playoff. You went all 18 holes.
We did.
And then you had to have a sudden death playoff, the playoff after the playoff.
That's right.
I remember one of those in 2008 that I walked every step of the way at Torrey Pines. Certainly I wasn't there with you, but that comes to mind. 45 wins on the Champions Tour. I mean, my goodness, it's an important number for you.
Well, it coincidentally certainly has been. I can't deny that the putt, I call it in my career the putt.
Tell us about that putt, standing over it, knowing what you had to do.
Well, I hate to take a long story, but I was playing with Greg Norman, and that day we went out, and he had birdied the 10th hole, and he was a couple of shots back. And Greg, you make a couple more birdies, and who knows what can happen. But I said, I was invited by the USGA to play, and so I wanted to make a good showing. And I'm one shot out of the top 15. I was looking at the board. So I said, okay, you can't do anything about it. Just concentrate on this. So I go out and I birdie 11. I said, okay, let's redefine that goal. And top 10, and I birdied 12. Okay, top 5, so I birdied 13. Now I'm thinking, well, you know, at the time, I'm only 2 shots back.
Did you think at that moment, hey, I could?
No, it's too premature. I'm an hour ahead of the leaders.
So you didn't let yourself think
No,
that.
no, and who knows, they could play just as well as I. So, but I birdied 14. So I'd made 4 birdies in a row, and I kind of gone from out of the top 15. Now I'm 1 shot back. And I par 15, 16, and 17. So that's why at 18, the lead was still at 8 under par. And I thought, well, I have to make this putt to have any chance.
Yeah.
And that's when it went in. It was just the work that it took to get to 5 under, the 5 birdies in the last 8 holes for the U.S. Open Championship, and at the ripe old age of 45 years old, and doing something that was kind of unpredictable.
The place erupted. And I remember as a young man, I was watching this on television, and I'll never forget the striped shirt and the red pants. And you ran all around the green, and you were kind of side-fiving and clapping hands with the crowd. You were just, again, another emotional outlet that had to be a tremendous relief that you were now there.
It was, Ray, and what I remember very distinctly is when that putt went in, yes, there was a euphoric moment for me. But out of the corner of my eye when I saw, and the noise, you mentioned it was in that little enclosed 18th hole, and the people were happy for me, and that was a thank you to go over, and it was more of a handshake than anything, although it became something more than that, but it was just it was a thank you to those people for sharing that moment with me.
45 wins on the Champions Tour was your second career in golf after the PGA Tour. When you went over to the Champions Tour, and at 61 years old, you won your final Champions Tour event. Although you continue to play in the Champions Tour the last 14 years now at age 75. I know you played last fall, you played in Hawaii this year. How much golf are you going to continue to play? To what do you attribute your longevity in the game?
Well, I think, Ray, for me, I've enjoyed the competitiveness of it. I enjoy being around my fellow players. I enjoy them. The game has provided for me so much. And I think over the last several years, it's been, can I add to the game of golf? Now, is my presence at a tournament going to be helpful? Or I don't want to be an impediment to the success of I don't want to be just, oh, well, he played good. But if it helps the tournament, then that's what I hope to do, and if it encourages young people to play.
Yeah.
But how much more I play is probably not, I'm not saying it's the end of the rainbow, but there's a point where at 75 years old, you can call it Father Time or Mother Nature, but your parents, they start calling you in. Yeah, it's time to kind of reconsider, am I getting my best performance? Am I doing am I preparing as good as I can? Am I producing the best that I can produce? And if that answer is no, then it's time to step back.
Hale, did you have fun playing on the PGA Tour and the Champions Tour? You're known as a very focused, very serious, somewhat intimidating, very, very strong competitor. Did you have fun? Were there lighthearted times out there for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the fun part is the results. But I think you have to understand that this is not your typical going out with your buddies and playing for a $5 Nassau. You're going out and this is your living. This is your life. This is the only income that you're going to have is what you win. And if you're not good enough to make that money, then you have to find a different job.
Yeah.
And I've never had a job. This was my line of work, but I was also the employee, I was the CEO, I was the board of directors, I was all those things just in one entity.
And you cleaned the clubs after the tournaments were over at home, probably.
That's right.
For a while anyway.
In the early days, I put them in the back of the car, and my wife and I, we drove hundreds and thousands of miles. So you have to understand who you are and what makes you work to really be successful.
He did have some fun out there. I know you won the Lexus Challenge, and you played with Sean Connery. What's it like to play golf with James Bond?
Oh, Sean was a great guy, and honestly, being the Scotsman that he is, he loved golf.
Sure.
And when you see his character in whatever movies he was in, you would never pick that up. But he was very serious about his game. He had a member of St. Andrews. he would go over, he'd carry his bag, he'd play 36 holes a day, and when you played golf with Sean, it was not giggles and laughs. It was pretty serious golf. He was very intent upon his game, and I love that about the man, because you see him in the movies as this character, whomever it may be, but he flips that aside, kind of puts that aside, and comes back, and he's this golfer. Not that he's not fun. He was a ball to be with, but he was intent upon his game, and that was great fun. And when we won a tournament, Sean and I did, and it was delightful to see that smile of his and how he charmed so many people.
Hale, off the course, you love to hunt, you love to fish, you got your family, you got the grandkids, and I know that Colorado is still near and dear to your heart, and you love to be there when you can be, but you have a favorite charity, and you've supported it for decades. Can you tell us about it?
Well, I think back, my wife was born and raised in St. Louis, and I met her at the University of Colorado, and we lived there for over 30 years, and it's not just St. Louis Children's Hospital, but I think any of those hospitals, Phoenix Children's Hospital is fantastic. Yeah. All of those kids' hospitals, if you want to get real, go get a lesson in life from these kids, folks. I'm telling you, these kids, you'll learn more from these kids than you will any other adult in the world. They can teach you things you didn't know about yourself. And it is fantastic to be with these kids, to learn about life and hope and dreams.
What a great way to end the show, and for you to give us a charge of something like that to do, to really look at the bigger and better picture of our lives and to learn something from those kids. Hale Irwin, thank you so
Ray,
much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
For joining me today on Match Play, and thank you so much, and stay tuned for more at Match Play TV.
What's the difference between good and great? Good treats you like a customer. Great treats you like a friend. From saving your haircut details and clip notes to saving you time with online check-in, Great Clips makes your life easier, just like a great friend should. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. What's the difference between good and great? Good tries to get it right every time. Great actually does. With clip notes, we save your haircut details so you always get exactly the look you want. Great Clips, it's gonna be great.
Do you like Tour Edge? I love Tour Edge. This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA? Oh, I love that. I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long, really long?
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.